And our special guest, it was going to be Harry Maguire, but actually someone better came up, and it is Cheltenham centre-back Charlie Raglan. Welcome to the show, Charlie.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'll take that. He's not a bad player, is he?
No, well, he obviously learns from you very well. Clearly, very good defence you're part of at the moment. Are you enjoying your football?
Yeah, loving it. And like Luke said, obviously a good sequence of results at the minute, which makes it all the more pleasing. And yeah, it could have been a difficult one for me if we'd have ended that yesterday. So thankfully we got a good win, and makes me all the more enthusiastic to speak to you guys today.
Before we get into anything, I have to ask you the question. And it's what we ask all our guests: is how did you first get into football? What got you hooked to this beautiful game?
I think it was more just being around friends at school who always played. I actually probably wasn't that interested, but I had a few good friends who loved it, and their families pushed them to play, and I was sort of left to find my own way. But I got playing and started watching football, and grew up a Manchester United fan. So
I'll beep that out. Don't worry.
In the in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's a good time to support that club. So yeah, it was easy to get hooked in that sense, watching them, and then just playing with my mates.
Wow. So what was your first club? How did you become or get into the professional side of the game?
Well, I actually grew up abroad, so I was always pushing to come back and try my hand at getting into professional football. And in a way, it was me and my mum really who sent out letters and asked and begged to be able to come in and train and just be given any sort of opportunity to show something that might be given a chance. And it was actually ironically via Walsall, who we played yesterday. Went there as a 15-year-old, got told no, but Wolves were happy to have a look at me. Went to Wolves, got told no, but Port Vale were happy to look at me, and they thankfully said yes. So I sort of 16 to 19, I was playing for Port Vale, a bit of a non-league stint, and then back up to Chesterfield around 20 years old, and then just sort of carried on from there. Chesterfield, Oxford, and now Cheltenham.
Charlie, you were backed yesterday by the biggest away crowd in the 4th Division. Cheltenham taking over 700 away fans there. It looked like it was a pretty tough victory, but nonetheless your away form from last season, which was pretty dreadful, you've really turned it around. That's what's your 4th away victory this season?
Yeah, I think so. Luke will know more than me, actually. Well, he should know more than me, but he'll definitely confirm it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
4th away victory, yeah. No, it was very good. And the fans, I didn't realise that it was going to be. Well, I knew it was a good following, and that they were great the whole game. So yeah, to be the highest sort of away attendance in the league is massive, and massively appreciated by the lads. And getting back in the dressing room, the fans get mentioned, and it was just a great result. Tough victory. Physically tough. They've struggled at home, and we knew that. So they had really good spells where we had to really dig in and defend as a team, which we're not happy to do, but we're comfortable doing that. And then we hope that we can regain the ball and use. We've got some good players in the final third, and that proved the way the game went yesterday.
Fantastic to see Luke Varney. So it's weird. He sort of dipped out of football for a bit, or he appeared to, but he's really come on strong since joining Cheltenham, hasn't he? And a great goal yesterday. Wonderful take.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he could get a club. I think that's the crazy thing about it. It took him till probably this time last year to sign for Cheltenham, when he didn't. He was just training at home. But yeah, he's a great lad. And everybody talks about his age, but you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it from the way he is around the place. I mean, Luke will vouch for that. He's just a bubbly character, so positive, absolutely no ego, helps everybody and anybody he can, and he looks after himself, and he's a vital part of our team, and it's proven that if he is out, he comes straight back in. And he's, like I spoke about Paddy Madden, he's in a similar mould to him, although Luke Vines has played at the top level, so he's got that pedigree behind him as well, and massive respect from everyone.
You mentioned no egos. I mean, you seem as a squad to be completely united. You've got a good group of players, a very settled starting 11. How much has that character and that group mentality helped you? Because Michael Duff seems to have really galvanised that.
Yeah, well, yeah, as I was going to say, it does come from the manager, and he'll. I think his recruitment has been spot on. Well, I would say that because he signed me, but in terms of his what he's looked for and the types of people that he's brought into the dressing room has been the most pleasing thing, because we really have got a great bunch, and we highlight that a lot when we speak amongst ourselves, the spirits of the team, and it's proven on days like yesterday when we had our backs against the wall at times and we had to dig deep because we had the disappointment of their equaliser, and they were up and at us second half, but we stood firm and managed to go again and get another goal and see the game out. So our mentality and things like that definitely comes from the manager, and it's something that we work on quite frequently.
That's I stand correct. That was your third away victory of the season.
Fourth unbeaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing though. I mean, it's just a turnaround from last season. You've had great home form for quite some time now, but coming into this season, I mean, you hadn't scored the first 3 away games of the season, you didn't get a goal, and then suddenly you beat Salford. You go on and beating Plymouth was absolutely massive as well. A point against Oldham, and then a victory against Walsall. I mean, it's very impressive. If you're winning your home games, I mean, I think you're on a run now. Is 8 unbeaten, Luke? Is it 7 or 8 unbeaten in the league?
I think it's 7. I think.
Yeah,
7 unbeaten
in the league. I think we still haven't lost at home since January. So yeah, which I know this season Bradford and Newport had the best home record in the league this season. But if you stretch it back, it's obviously Cheltenham by quite a long way. I think if you go back to the last time we lost a game, certainly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. You've played some decent sides as well. I mean, Crewe came to Cheltenham, and obviously they're flying high, and you got a good result against them, 1-1. Right, let's jump into our mailbox, because you certainly are very popular, Mr. Raglan. So we've got some questions for you from the fans to go through now.
The D3D4 mailbox. Your views, your say.
Perfect. Right, let's start with JT, who says, how far can Cheltenham team go this season?
Well, we've started well. What are we? A quarter of the way through. So it's a difficult one to say. I think the lads at the minute, driven by the manager, really are a cliche bunch where they talk about the next game and performing well, winning. Don't get bored of that. Don't think we've become a good team overnight, because we are little old Cheltenham. In this league, you look at Bradford and Plymouth and people like that, teams like that. Sorry, we are the underdog, and we kind of like it like that. So we embrace that, but don't lose that mentality when we go into places like Walsall, because we could have easily been rolled over yesterday after whatever it was, winning 3 away games and thinking we're a good side. So to answer his question, I'm not sure. It's just a case of keep doing what we're doing. And if we have bad spells, or difficult spells, should say, override them quickly and get over the disappointments. And that's a big message that's driven home by the manager.
Yeah, I always get the feeling that, something that Phil Parkinson always talked about as well, is you don't get too high with the highs, don't get too low with the lows. You just keep on going. Trying to see who this Gwen Dizzle is. Looks like it's the Twitter handle of this chap. So opinions on Greavesy.
Yeah, Jacob Greaves. Well, young lad. I mean, I think he's 18, 19, coming on loan from Hull. We lost probably, one of our best defenders, Will Boyle, through an unfortunate injury in the first game. So he came in last minute, and he's done great. He has done great, and at the minute he's keeping Boyle out of the team. And anyone who knows Will Boyle, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's he's a really good player, both left-footed. But yeah, the impressive thing is proves his age, and nothing phases him. Really good lad. Again, sort of nice lad, but has definitely got that aggression when he plays, and he's a good size. So he's got bags of potential, and the way he's going at the minute, hopefully it carries on for us, because he's playing well and we're doing okay. So yeah, he's come in and he's done great.
Yeah, he's very impressive. I mean, I'm shocked that 18, outrageous. I feel old when you say that, but
yeah.
Will Smith has asked the question: what's it like to have Duffo as the gaffer, and is he the best manager you've played under?
Yeah, difficult one that. I've been fortunate to play for some good managers. Michael Atherton at Oxford, I thought I rated very highly. Paul Cook gave me my chance in League One 4 or 5 years ago now. So, but I think overall, I think Michael Duff is probably the best manager I've played for. I think striking the balance of what you want, man management, or more sort of mentality wise, he's very good at and very hot on. Tactically, he's come in and not many people can just throw a 3-5-2 together and get it working, like I think we have done. And he's if you listen to like we said about Carl Fletcher going to Bournemouth, and him, the gaffer, being at Burnley for so long, he's learnt off some of the best coaches in the world and some of the best managers. So he's carried that through to Cheltenham, and he's got a good group of players. So yeah, he's probably the best manager I've worked for. So hopefully we can have some success together, and he stays for a long time.
I hope so. It's looking very good so far, and I think it was a great credit to Cheltenham to give him that chance as well in management, because, like we said before, always tempting, I suppose, to go with the tried and tested, but there are some great young coaches out there who deserve an opportunity. Owen Knight asked the question: the best defender you've played with and against?
Played with, probably had. Well, at the minute I'm playing with 2 or 3 very good defenders. If you look at a back three, I think Ben Toes has been probably the best player at Cheltenham since I came in. And by all accounts, he might have had a difficult time when he first arrived at the club, but he's definitely up there. The other one I'd say I had probably my best spell playing for Oxford when I played 5 or 6 games with Curtis Nelson. He's a good friend of mine as well, so I'll probably say Nelson. And obviously he's got a great move to Cardiff. So yeah, Curtis Nelson played with, against, difficult one. Trying to think at the time. I mean, recently we played Leicester City in a pre-season game, and Harry Maguire did play, as did Johnny Evans. And
I was going to say that must have been where he learnt all his stuff watching.
Yeah,
knew that was coming.
Something like that. I think I'm closer to his brother, who I played with at Chesterfield. But I against is a difficult one. I think Johnny Evans was probably someone that I looked up to a lot when he, from his Manchester United days, and then to play against him, even if it was for 45 minutes in a pre-season game, I think he used class. And from what I hear of people like Gavin White, he doesn't make a mistake. I think they don't know whether he's right-footed or left-footed, so says it all. And yeah, he's top player.
The real Ben Hodge has asked the question, saying, who in your squad wouldn't get a round in even though it was their turn? Anyone who when it's their turn to get a round in calls a taxi pretty sharpish?
Yeah, I think
cobwebs on the wallet.
I think I saw that one, and I think someone came to mind straight away, and it was Will Boyle. And I know he'll probably listen to this podcast, so I was happy to say him, and he'll know.
Brilliant stuff. Matthew Green, who I hope you're well, Matthew. I met him at Blackpool with his son Joshua, so hope you guys are doing well and indeed enjoying the run of form Oxford have been on. He asked a question, same here as Gabe Sutton says. Gabe Sutton says, well done on some excellent displays for Cheltenham, Charlie. I'm wondering how you might have reacted to being seemingly discarded at Oxford. Were you surprised that Carl Robinson and the coaching staff did not seem to see a place for you in the squad at the time? And Matthew echoes that with the question, were you disappointed that you weren't given a chance at Oxford after Appleton left?
Well, yeah, is the short answer. It was a strange time because obviously I had my first season with Michael Appleton, and I was in and out of the side, to be honest. I mean, I was up against two really good defenders, Shea Dunkley and Curtis Nelson, who have both gone on to bigger and better things, if you like. And then I signed for 2 years, moved to the area, and was really looking forward to being a part of something good. Then the manager left, which happens. Next manager came in, who I was sort of building a good rapport with, if you like. And then I had probably my worst injury of my career, where I was out for 5 or 6 months with an ankle ligament injury. And in that time, they'd signed John Mousinho, Mike Williamson, Rob Dickey. So straight away, the pathway was sort of blocked up a bit more than it was before. So, and then I was frustrated with having been out for so long. I was desperate to play and probably made a bit of a rash decision to go on loan to Port Vale, a club that I knew very well. So I felt that it was a good thing to do. Played some games, but it didn't probably go to plan. And then coming back, my only gripe was that I wanted maybe a bit more clarity a bit earlier. So I was desperate to play for Oxford United. Like I said, the fans were brilliant with me, whether I was playing or wasn't playing. They always supported me, as they did everybody, and I was desperate to play, but I felt like I wasn't told early enough, and that was my only thing. But then it was a case of just getting my head down and making the most of any sort of games that I did get, which mainly came in the trophy, which I think is how the manager at Cheltenham first saw me. So you can't knock it, and I'm quite proud of the fact that I did keep my head down, and I tapped into the likes of Sean Derry and tried to sort of get all any information, advice I could out of him, and people like that. I never fell out with the manager. The manager was always good in that sense. I just never got the opportunity, even though the amount of times I asked for one, I never got one. So things move on, and I love my time there, and I'm like I said before, things turn out funny, and I'm really delighted with how things are going at Cheltenham now.
Interesting question from an ex-Oxford teammate here. A certain Ryan Ledson asks, on average, how many pints do you sink on an all-dayer?
I don't know what he's on about. Well, that's typical of him. He's a big character. Again, a young lad with such a big character, and no surprise that he's done so well. See how I'm swerving the question. We've had some good nights out, good team days out with the lads, which I think most people would say is important at the right time. So I wouldn't put a number on it. I think I could probably drink more than him.
We all know your teetotal, Charlie.
Yeah, that's it.
Final question from Jonathan Harry says, Cheltenham and their home form, it's been sensational. What do you put that down to?
Well, it's difficult to put your finger on, and likewise when we were losing away, it's difficult to put a finger on that. But I think it's more of again, I've mentioned it a few times, mentality-wise, we seem to, and we've spoken about this a lot as a group and with the staff and the manager. At home, we seem to have a belief, an absolute confidence that we're gonna score at least, and we're gonna play well. We push our shoulders back and we pass the ball, and we've been a goal behind on plenty of occasions and still come back and won. And I think away from home, it was the polar opposite, really. Any sign of disappointment, we seem to revert to type and be the typical away team in League Two and go a bit longer and a bit straighter. And it just wasn't us. So combining the two was a case of our mentality and our belief that we can compete with anybody. So run hard is the first thing, and pass the ball and believe that in your mates around you.
Brilliant. Charlie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast. So thank you so much for taking the time out this morning to speak to us and for answering all the questions. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have, yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me. Real pleasure.
More than welcome, more than welcome. And Luke, thank you as always for your contribution.
No problem at all. It's good to have a Cheltenham sort of dominated podcast. I'll happy with that.
Yeah, I'll have to nip that in the bud quite quickly. Guys, thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you could give this podcast a share, give it a retweet, and we'll see you next week for more League 1 and 2 coverage. Until then, goodbye.